This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so we're at the public hearing for supplemental appropriations. It's about 6:50 p.m. on Monday, October 12th, 2020. Village President Frank Eubank is present at the village office, and we're meeting remotely as allowed under Public Law 101-0640, as we're still under a declaration of emergency by Governor Pritzker. And so we'll open up the public hearing since we do have trustees Mike McKinnon, Julia O'Rourke, Stan Alexander, and Jimmy Graham present, so we do have a quorum. We have a new caller, caller 5. You can identify yourself.
This is Lori Morgan.
Hi, Lori. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Not too bad. All right, so we've
Well,
got
all the finance home.
all the finances here. Well, except Sally Bennett, but we got all finance here. So we can start then the public hearing. And so Mary, if you just want to go through that for us.
Sure. The supplemental appropriation ordinance was done, as you know, because, or had to be done because of additional funds that were being received that were not otherwise expected. I worked with Sally Bennett, who had prepared what is listed there as the Exhibit A that lists the various numbers. And so we were trying to figure out what the best and easiest and clearest way to look at the numbers to see what the increases were. So you'll see that the numbers are listed in black except for the new ones. And then I had asked her to list what the old total was and then the operations and maintenance new total, so that you could see that the total of all the different funds was the $265,503. And what I did, we had some discussion of exactly why they came about and how they came about. And that's why there is so much more than even normal description in the whereas section, because we wanted to be able to explain why we all of a sudden came up with $265,503. And so you can see that it is spelled out for the issue with the payroll taxes, which has been corrected to show that it, in essence, they were paid timely for the third quarter of 2019, but it was inadvertently marked they were for the fourth quarter, and the government just could not handle it. And they finally got it straightened out in March of 2020, and then it shows where those different ones were allocated. And then, of course, we had the hailstorm, which then brought in $47,000 worth of permit fees that weren't expected, the $70,902 for the damages for the claim, the hail damage for the various buildings and vehicles of the village that were damaged. We have the cure grant for the $127,926. We did list the full amount of that. I know we had some discussion previously about was it going to be the full amount or not. And I know that Frank had indicated the preference to list the full amount, just in case, and maybe there'll be some other rules that make other things qualified. So that's why we did it. And then with the ComEd, with the village being overbilled and then finally getting us the money. Now, some of this, the money may not be in this second, but it's expected to be in by the end of this fiscal year. And then, as I understand, the police department got a donation, and it's going to be used for either a television at the police station or computer screen. So that was explaining where we got the money. And then you have to go in to say how and this is on page 4. In essence, it just repeats those categories and where they're going to go. Then if you go to section 2 on page 5, which may seem a little confusing of why are all those numbers listed, but that was purposeful. And the reason was, in going over the numbers, Sally Bennett and I were discussing them. There appears to be just some sort of little glitch in the Excel program that I wasn't coming up with the same numbers on my old-fashioned run it on a calculator as she was. And it was a total of $7 being different, but naturally you want it to be correct. So that's why you're seeing that it explains so that someday if someone's ever looking back, they understand why these numbers are what they are, because in the original appropriation ordinance, the numbers are going to be slightly off, slightly wrong. So, and again, it's by a total of $7, but this is just to explain where those numbers came from. Naturally, when you, as you know, when you make an appropriation, it's just the maximum amount that can be expended. It doesn't mean that's automatically going to happen, because you would have to vote on it. And that's the gist of it. And then I know Sally's on now, so Sally Bennett, if you have anything additional, please jump in, because you were very helpful in getting all the explanation of this so I can put it together.
I'm open for questions, but otherwise I think it looks great.
We went over the numbers several times to make sure.
Does anyone have any questions? Okay, we're also going to be talking about this at the general board meeting. We'll leave it open for maybe another minute if anyone else is going to log in. And then we'll switch out of, we'll close this out and go to the general board meeting log in.
For the record, no one from the public came in and asked to view this today, so.
All right, thank you for letting us know that.
And also it was, of course, duly published, and nobody prior thereto had, as I understand it, called or asked any questions or anything, as is typical, particularly with a supplemental appropriation ordinance.
All right, if there's nothing else, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, and we'll end the public hearing, and then everyone just log into the regular meeting when you can.
So we're ending the public hearing at, do you have about 6:56?
57, yeah.
57, okay.
57.
57, okay.
All right, thanks.